The Alice killings remain, to this day, one of the strangest and unsolvable serial killings in Japan. From 1999 to 2005, a series of 5 killings took place. The 5 killings might have been completely different if not for the calling card that the killer left at each crime scene. He would leave a playing card that varied from killing to killing at each scene in an obvious location that had Alice written on it in the victim's blood. Very few clues were found at each crime scene, and eventually the case went cold. Below are details of each killing.
The first victim was Sasaki Megumi, a 29-year-old owner of a restaurant. Those who knew her described her as a headstrong woman with a short temper and a sharp tongue when dealing with her employees. She was known by her customers by her fine cooking and her dedication for her job. Outside her job, Megumi was a very social and often went to parties. After one such party that she went missing, she decided to walk home from her friends, saying as she was only a block away from home and she was too drunk to drive. Several people offered her to drive her home, but she shrugged it off. She was seen leaving the party at 1 a.m, and it was the last time she was seen alive. The next morning, a couple walking in the woods a mile from Megumi's house saw a large amount of blood on an overgrown, unused path. Curious, they followed it, where they found Megumi's body. She had been torn apart, her parts impaled by various trees. The couple called the police. The police found a playing card crammed into Megumi's mouth. It was the Jack of Spades, which had the word Alice written on it, as previously mentioned. There were no fingerprints nor any DNA found. There was only vomit at the scene, but the woman of the couple confirmed it was hers.
Yamane Akio was a barely known singer in a band that never played anything more than at various bars and community functions. His friends described him as a kind-hearted man who would never raise his voice off stage. After his death, his band fell apart, not having the heart to find a new singer. Akio was abducted from his apartment on February 11, 2011. His bandmates were the last people to see him alive, as he had practiced with them earlier in the day. That night, his girlfriend came to visit him and was surprised to find the house empty. Within days, a missing persons report was filed, and a search for him began. On the security footage of the apartment, a hooded figure could be seen entering through a side door and leaving with a garbage bag that bulged strangely. This strange appearance was never accounted for, and no one saw the strange man in person. This man is widely believed to be the killer, but his face was never shown, and there appears to be some doubt. The following week, the owner of the bar Yoshida's, where the band had often performed, was opening for the day, and was met with a grisly sight. Slumped at a table was Akio's body. His vocal cords had been ripped from his throat, and he had been shot in the head. His Alice card was a king of diamonds, and was found clutched in his hands along with his ruined vocal cords.
Girl Kai Sakura had her whole life ahead of her. She was a sweet girl and well loved by her classmates and relatives. She wanted to go to school to be a fashion designer, and was 1 week away from graduating high school when she was abducted. Sakura's family was frantic trying to find her, and the whole town combed for the lost girl. Her body was found 2 days later, buried in a shallow grave. It didn't seem like the killer wanted her hidden. On the contrary, he marked her grave with her Alice playing card, the Queen of Clubs. It was taped on a stick and stuck on top of the grave. Sakura's body was horribly mutilated. Her eyes had been carved from her body, her skin was flayed, and her mouth was carved open. A crown was sewn to her head, most likely while she was still alive. No sexual crimes was committed either pre or post-mortem. Along with Sakura's body was a note written in scraggly handwriting. It contained many distorted phrases, some which were unreadable. Death is a distorted dream. She will forever rule, and haha, those which die are the lucky ones, were various phrases that were written among the others. A match to the handwriting was never found.
These two were the last of the killings, and the least gruesome. Hayato and Hino were siblings, and very close. Hina was the elder sister and was very stubborn. Her younger brother, Hayato, was very smart and had skipped a grade, causing him to be in the same class as his beloved sister. The two rarely fought as most siblings tended to. The two were found dead in their beds on April 4th, 2005. The cause of death was lethal injection. The children's bedroom was open, and it was deduced that the killer snuck in quietly enough to kill the two without waking them, then snuck back out. Each child held half of an Ace of Hearts playing card that, when put together, spelled out the words, Alice. One very smudged footprint was found on their carpet, but closer inspection was made impossible by the severe damage done to the print. This was the only piece of evidence, other than the playing card, left at the scene. A year later, the mother of Hayato and Hina committed suicide out of grief. Their father, who is still alive to this day, is going through extensive therapy to get over the death of his entire family. At this moment, he is heavily depressed and extremely medicated.
Shortly after the death of the Oshiro twins, a man, Suzuki Otto, was arrested for the murders. He was a bum with mental problems who claimed not to remember where he was at the time of any of the murders. Most damning of all, he was seen wearing a coat that belonged to Ayame Otto. A bit of blood on the sleeve was positive to be his. Yoto, who was raving at this point, claimed a demon black man with no face had given him the coat. Yoto was eventually released, but when a homeless shelter 5 miles away from the Kai household claimed to have Yoto in their files for the night of Sakura's murder. Since there was no way for him to get where she was abducted and back without being noticed, Yoto was released. On April 30th, 2008, a producer known as Yugomi P uploaded his first song to Noko Video, called Harabachi Ashur, roughly translated to Alice of Human Sacrifice. This song was believed to be based off the Alice killings. It tells the story of a little dream who lures people into its world and then goes to tell the story of each Alice. The song has a few parables with the killings. The first Alice, voiced by Mako, was trapped in the woods, which is where Megumi's body was found. The second Alice, voiced by Kato, was a singer who was shot by a madman. The third Alice, voiced by Miku Hudson, was well loved and became the country's queen and was taken over by a distorted dream. The fourth Alice, voiced by Kagemine Ren and Lin, was a pair of twins regarded as one Alice. They were described as a stubborn big sister and an intelligent younger brother. It also speaks to how they have yet to awaken, a possible reference to them dying in their sleeps. In addition, the suits of cards that are found with each body are also mentioned. P. Yagami has not stated for sure that the song has any relation to the Alice killings, but is widely assumed.